let's go ahead and do the lower part of the body. Now, if you look over here, this is an indication of the pelvis area, right? And we have, of course, the external oblique right here, right? And the pelvis is gonna be like this, and then just kind of comes down like that. And then we're gonna have the package area. Of course, we're gonna have to sculpt an indication of the package. We're just gonna have to kind of use our imagination around the area where his boxers are covering it. Even the butt area, I couldn't really find a photo of him showing his booty, so we're gonna have to just, yeah, like I said, use our imagination and find some references, right? And we're gonna have to do the legs also. Now, for his legs, if we look at the human anatomy here, you could see these muscles. We all have these muscles here. Now, for a bodybuilder, who's very defined, takes steroids, you're gonna see the individual muscles, right? You're gonna see most of the individual muscles there, maybe except around this area. It's still gonna be slightly smooth, even though if you're a bodybuilder. But for a lot of this, like the quads and even the gracilis muscle, you're gonna see some indication there if it's a bodybuilder who's competing. Now, for Michael B. Jordan, right? If you look at his thighs there, okay, you're going to see some of the indication of the muscles. Like, let's see here. Okay. And let me go ahead and just flip this. All right. So looking at this here and looking at this here. So we're going to see a little bit of this muscle right here. We're going to see his quad muscle, which is going to be that. We're going to see this, which is going to be this right here. So this one is slightly higher and this one is slightly lower. So this is like the teardrop muscles. We're going to see a little bit of that on him, okay? And if we look at the lower leg here, we see this hero muscles. This is the tibialis anterior muscle right here. And you're going to see that for most men, all right? You're going to see that. Even for females, you're going to see that tibialis anterior muscle. So if we see that on him, we also see the calves muscle right here. See the calves muscle. And now, I think on the side, I can't really find, okay, yeah, right here. If you look at the side, I have a photo of the side legs. We don't really see much of the striations of the muscles here. It's fairly smooth. Maybe there's a slight indication of a slit of muscle there, but I would say that it's mostly smooth, okay? But you do see the teardrop right there. Teardrop muscle and teardrop muscle right here. And I could just imagine that also if he's showing more right here, you could see. So we're also going to be able to see a little bit of this muscle here. I could see it right here, subtly showing. So just keep in mind of the type of character you're doing and see how much of those muscles are really going to be prominent on that body. And if you look at his back here, so we got the back legs right there, okay? So you're going to see this muscle right here. From this, you could still see the quads even from the back, which is going to be this is part of the quads. And these individual muscles that you see here, you got the bicep femoris here, we got the semitendinosus muscles, individual muscles. These don't really show, it's just fairly smooth. And then we're going to have, like right here is going to be, there's going to be a fat on top of there. There's not going to be any hole here, okay? So around this area is just going to be some fat pad. So we're going to add a little volume there, maybe using a glacier brush, you can lay a clay on top. Now, if you look at the leg area right here, it looks like it's very, very, very smooth. But you do see the tendons right there. And his calves here is not that defined, but I think I'm definitely going to add more definition on his calves because I am trying to go for more that Rocky, that Creed type of legs that he has here, the Rick Creed body type, okay? So keeping those in mind as I am doing this. Okay, so now back to our sculpting. I do want to go over the lower part and add a little package there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just going back to my glacier brush, maybe add some more indications, love handles, pop that up, smooth it. I'm gonna bring down the smoothing brush slightly. Okay, and I'm gonna go to my draw, bring down the strength, go add a bit more indication of the muscles here, and yeah, so for this here, I do want to pull this out. Okay, so I want to indicate this little bit of this muscle coming down, internal oblique showing slightly, and then like around this area we're gonna have to create the package. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use a brush, pull this up, then I'm gonna go ahead and scrape this, use my grab brush, gonna round this out. Then I'm gonna go ahead and mask this area out, Control I to invert it, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down using the grab brush, Alt M. I'm gonna go to my inflate brush and just inflate this, move this down, and pull that out. I'm gonna pull that down like this. Yeah, so just using our imagination for this area here. Alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and remesh that, and then I'm gonna go and bulk this up and smooth it slightly. Alright, so we got a little shape there going. I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out, glacier brush, and add some volume in this area and smooth it. Alright, so we got something to work with. Alright, now we can go to object mode. We could create a cylinder for the leg area. I'm gonna go ahead and Shift A and add a cylinder. I'm gonna move that down here, scale it down, this, move it right here. I'm gonna press S and then Z, just scale it up, and G and Z, move it down. Alright, looking from this view, I'm gonna go ahead and scale it up more. Okay, something like that. And what I could do is I could select this, hit the tab key, Control R, and add a line here in the middle. Control R, add an edge loop right there, and go to scope mode. You could see object has non-uniform scale. Sculpting may be unpredictable, so we can go to object mode. If you see something like that, just go ahead and Control A, select your mesh, Control A, and apply all transformation. So now if you go to scope mode, you shouldn't see the error anymore. Now let's go to grab brush, and I'm gonna go and pull this like that, and like this. Okay, so something like that. And to the front view, see what we're working with from the front view. I'm gonna go ahead and open his legs like this, and this. Alright, and side view, see how it looks in the side view. Alright, so we could go and remesh this. Control R to remesh it. And I'm gonna go and bulk it up. I'm gonna go to my inflate brush and just inflate this up. Got more volume to work with, of course. There you go. And looking from this view, I'm gonna go use my grab brush and just kind of pull this out and give him that butt that we need. Yeah, a little indication, the knee area. All right. And I think as I'm doing this, I also want to have it shown the other side so we get a better accurate presentation of how it looks. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode, go to my move tool here, and yeah, it looks like it's already in the middle of the grid, so that's good. I'm gonna go to my modifier and add a mirror modifier. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and just apply that, and I'm gonna go back to sculpt mode. So we got something to work with. Turn on symmetry. All right, and I could see that I made the hip way too much thick. And I think I'm gonna go to my upper body here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and make this slightly wider. There you go, this wider. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode on my leg area and further work on this. So I know, for the way the leg work, it should be thicker at the top. The calf area, the quad area is always going to be thicker at the top here. And then as we go to the lower body, it does get slimmer, and especially on the ankle area, it gets slimmer around here. And around the calves, it gets slightly thick around this area. That. So just really spending as much time on the basic shape as possible. So I'm gonna go Shift H to just isolate that. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode, and I'm gonna go to my grab brush and just further shape this out. Maybe I'll lift that up. Spend as much time on the basic shape as much as possible. All right, and yeah, so the way this works is, so I'm going to 3D Scan Store right here. They have some nice references here. Also, if you go to Body Scan, apologize, Body Scan's right here, and you could look at some references here. I'm gonna go look at this guy. So if you look over here, we have the butt right there. Let me change. We have the butt, then got nice curve. Remember, don't make it too puffy. You don't want it to look like Popeye the Sailor Man. So just very subtle curves, and then straight down, little curve like this, and then down. Okay, and if you look here, we got the the quad showing. So this area is gonna be the thickest part of the leg, and then it gets slimmer around here, and then slightly thicker on the calves, and then it gets thinner around the calf section to the ankle section, and then there's the feet. Okay, and let's take a look. If you press Control 3, you could look in the left view. If you press 3 on your numpad, you're looking at the right view. Control 3, left view. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of fix this a bit. There you go, and the knee maybe gonna come down a bit. And I'm gonna Control R to remesh this. Bring this down. Oh yeah, right now I'm really thinking about the basic forms right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and show everything else. And I also want to just go ahead and start to add the basic shape of the feet. I'm gonna go sculpt mode, and I'm gonna go ahead and mask this area out. All right, Control I. I'm gonna go to Move tool, sub pivot to mask border, And we could, of course, pull this out. I'm going to go to side view and just going to pull this out and go to the front. And we're going to have to face it outward like that. So don't make the foot like this. Don't make it too straight like this. It has to be pointing in this direction outward, okay? So if you're standing up, that's just the natural pose. All right. Alt M, Control R to remesh. And go to my grab brush once again. And I'm going to go to my top view. And I think I'm going to go ahead and isolate this again. I'm going to go to sculpt mode. And do this here. Kind of shape out the feet a little bit more. Go. On this view. So of course, that's way too flat. So we're going to have to lift this up. That. Just take your time. You should not be rushing. The most important part of sculpting the body, which is the basic forms. Okay, this is where you're gonna spend most of your time in. I know that it's very tempting to go to the details already, but that's just not gonna work. Make sure you spend as much time doing the basic shape till you get it right. And when you're working, make sure to keep it low poly at the beginning. Very low poly at the beginning. I'm gonna go and scrape this, right? Okay. So we got something there going. Gonna go and lift this up. And it's too bulky, the calves. Move it. Alright, now I'm gonna go show the entire body again. And we got somewhat of a basic shape here. I think that I made the feet too large. So I'm gonna go to sculpt mode and just gonna bring it like this. Bring it back. Just bring it back. Right. And here you go. Alright. Kind of flat right now, but we could Control R to remesh it. And then kind of pull out an indication of the toe. This. So when I'm thinking of this shape, I am thinking there's a little bit of curve around this area. And around the part here of the foot, there's going to be an arc. So this part is not really touching the floor around this area. If you look, the inner part of your feet is not touching. And then, of course, at the back, it's touching around the flat part of the feet there. And I'm going to go ahead and flatten this out. There you go. Alright, and could go ahead and just add some more details on our body here. So I think we could go ahead and add a little bit of indication of the sartorius muscle. So I'm thinking of this shape. So we're going to have a bony landmark right here, which is coming from the femur. So I just use I'm going to be using the clay strip brush to just kind of add a little bumpiness there. That's going to be the bony landmark for the femur of the bone. So of course we're going to have this bone right here, the upper leg bone, okay? And then we're going to have the patella, and then we're going to have the lower part here. We're going to have two bones. We're going to have the fibula bone, and we're going to have another bone called the tibia bone here. And then, yeah, for the bony landmark, the femur here is going to show slightly. So kind of indicating that there. Right? Indicating that there. And then we're going to have this muscle, which is the gluteus medius muscle. And we're going to have the gluteus maximus muscle around this area. And really around the bottom part of the bottom part of the butt. Around this area here is where we're gonna have the most fat. Okay, so that being said, I'm gonna go to my draw brush and just add some fat right there. So there's gonna look like there's a little bit of crease going because of the fattiness here. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, add a little bit of more volume in the butt there, smooth it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add some indication of the muscle going this direction, the gluteus medius. This is the gluteus maximus, the biggest muscle of the butt, and then we have the gluteus medius right there. Okay. Yes, it's very important to add a gluteus medius. We see that a lot on the side, so we're gonna go ahead and maybe have a little dip right there. So that gives a more masculine look to it. Now, another important muscle that we have to do is the one semi on the side and shows a little bit on the front. So we have this indication right here of the pelvis area. It comes like this and then down, and then we have at this point here we have to have a muscle coming down from here on there, which is the tensor fasciae latae. You don't really have to remember the name, but this shape is also prominent for a male. And then we're gonna have another muscle coming down, which is the longest muscle in the body, which is the sartorius muscle. But I'm gonna go into my clay strip brush and add the indication of the muscle there on the side. Comes down like this, right? That, and of course we have this other muscle. It's very much a hero muscle. And I'm gonna go my draw sharp and just do a little carve there. So it looks like we have a little V shape going on like this, because we have the two muscles that we have just created, this here and this here. Okay, and then we also have to add some muscles here, which is going to be the quad muscle area. Okay, you have to have some quads here. Let me do it better. Yeah, we're going to have to add our quads. So we have another one right here coming down, the teardrop muscle. Then we have something that's slightly up, another quad muscle here. So think of these shapes as you're doing this. Think of this 1, 2, 3, and then we have this one, and also this one from the front, and a little bit the side butt is showing, the gluteus medius is showing slightly, very little. So think of those muscles when you are doing the front view, and which is I'm going to go ahead and show that right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring down my intensity for my draw sharp. Yeah, and slightly indicate muscles. And I'm going to go to my clay strip brush. Add some indication there. Indication of the muscle. Also here. It's going to show a lot. I'm going to go ahead and Shift H to isolate. I'm going to go to scope mode. Okay, so for this, add the big quad muscle here on the side, and then we got one right here and one right here. All right. So on this side is really quite big. The muscle, it basically shows here. This muscle, the quad muscle, shows here in the front, and also shows a little bit even if you're looking from the back here. It's going to show a little bit, this muscle right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and kind of indicate more of the muscles here, and we could smooth all these out anyways later. Could smooth all these out, and then we're going to have at the back, we could start to add a bit of the muscles that's gonna show. Now for the back muscles, we're gonna have the biceps femoris here, And then we got another group of muscles here. It's gonna be like 2 long muscle here, but really, even for bodybuilders, this area is gonna be fairly smooth. There's maybe gonna be a slight indication here, a little bit of the division of the muscles, but it's very rare that you're gonna see that. For most people, it's just gonna be fairly smooth. Now, of course, at the back, you gotta make sure that you added like a fat pad here. And I could go to my Draw Sharp and add a little line there, add a little line there, and a line here. So this is where the knee's gonna be bending. So kind of indicate that there. And I'm gonna go to my clay strip brush and add some indication of the calf muscles here. Like this. I'm gonna go to my Draw Sharp and just kind of carve that in slightly. And we could indicate the tendon here. If you look at the back of your feet, you're gonna see there's this really nice tendon going. We have to make this even smaller around this area, otherwise it's not gonna look realistic. Something like that. And then around this area, we're gonna have the heel, our heel right there. I go to my Draw Sharp and just kind of further carve this in. All right, and I think I might have exaggerated slightly on the heel, but I could kind of flatten that out slightly. This. All right, flatten that out. You don't want it to look too puffy. Kind of come down like that. Yep. And this. Now you don't want the calves to be too puffy, otherwise it will look very strange. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do something about this. It's too round. So you can see it's starting to look like it has that Popeye, the Sailor Man feel to it. So it looks too much. So there you go. So you kind of want this more of a shape, an angular shape. So instead of making it round like that, it's not gonna look good. So make sure it has more of that nice angular shape there. And pull that up, smooth it slightly. Alright, and then we could go back to our front view here and start to add some indication of the knee area. This here. And then we could, I know that for Michael B. Jordan, we have the tibialis anterior, the hero muscles showing here. And around this area, we're going to have this tibia bone, right? And then the ridge of the bone here is going to show on the side here. So a little bit of that is showing in this area, the little bit of that bone for the tibia bone. And of course, we have 2 bones here in the lower leg. We also have a fibula bone coming down. And then we're going to have the bony landmark here. And we're also going to have a bony landmark here that's being created by those 2 bones, all right? Speaking of those, we could go ahead and start to indicate the bony landmarks here already. And also here, let's add a little bit of bony landmark there. Go. Yep. Okay, go ahead and carve this in slightly. So the muscle that we have here on this area is going to show a little bit of the tendon. The tendon is going to show a little bit, and it's going to connect. That tendon is going to connect to a bony landmark, which is going to be the tibia bone. So sometimes you are going to see that bony landmark there showing up, and then sometimes for some people, if they're really defined, you're going to see the slit of muscle coming down from that tibia bone here. You're going to see a muscle for some bodybuilders, like this slit of muscle coming down, and then the tendon come around like this. You're going to see some depth here, some cuts, which I think you don't really see it on Michael B. Jordan. He doesn't really have really cut legs like that, okay? But it's good to know that if you are doing a bodybuilder, that's what you're going to have to do, all right? Some more indication that muscle. And for the calves muscle here, you could have that. And then we could add the soleus muscle. So you're gonna have the calves muscle here, and then right here you're going to have a little slit of muscle here that attaches to the Achilles tendon. So this area here is just going to be a tendon, and then this tendon is holding on to the calf muscles and also this soleus muscle there. And from the back, if we look over here, we have the calves right here. By the way, if you look at the calves, it's going to be like this. So this is a little higher, it's a little lower, but very subtle though. And so we're going to have the calves, and then we're going to have the soleus muscle like this, and then right here is going to be the tendon, Achilles tendon, right? So keep those shapes in mind as you are doing the leg area. All right, and then looking from this view, we cannot ignore the inner part here. So for this part here, could add some. So remember, we have some muscles here in the inner part. We got sartorius muscle, the longest muscle of the body, kind of comes down like this and connects, kind of curves like this. Let me change the color. Kind of comes down and then kind of attaches to the tibia bone around this area. And you're going to see a slight indication of that muscle coming down like this. And around this area is going to be, if I'm going to go to my draw sharp, it's going to be like some slit of muscle coming down like that. Gonna carve that in. Alright, like that. And then we're gonna have the calves muscle showing here. And go to my draw sharp and just carve this area in. And then we got a soleus muscle right there. Alright, like that. Okay, so I think we're on a roll here. Not bad for our leg area. Okay, and let me see what we have. Show our character, and let's look at the side. All right, look at the butt area. Look at the side. All right, and I see some students when they're doing the legs, they kind of make it look like it's squatting down like this. You don't want that. So you kind of want it to be still straight, all right? And the way I think about this is we have the upper body, so still an S curve. And then we kind of have this shape going for the leg. So the leg is going to be like this. Then we have the feet like that, okay? Or something like that. So I think of this shape as I'm doing this. Let me go ahead and change that up, the color. So come down and then like this, right? So we have this shape right this. So instead of having it straight down like that or like this and then look like it's squatting, we kind of have more of this shape like this, all right? As I'm doing here. But don't exaggerate too much, otherwise it's gonna look weird. Something like that would be good. All right. So he looked like a hero just by doing this. He definitely looks like a hero. I think I could pull this up slightly, the knees. Okay, good. It's coming along. I think maybe for maybe this is a little too much. It's overkill. I'm gonna go to sculpt mode and maybe kind of lift this up. We don't have to exaggerate too much in that. Something like that. All right.